Dune Part 2 review.
May thy knife chip and shatter.
May thy knife chip and shatter.
Before we begin, let me preface this review. I liked the first Dune and enjoyed the pacing, and I wouldn't recommend the Dune franchise to a seal-clapping Star Wars, Marvel, or Fast X fan. It's just not going to suit well for you. You're not going to like the slow pacing. You're going to think it's a really boring movie. So if those are your kind of movies, don't go into Dune expecting something great. It's not going to be for you, and you're going to think it's terrible. Dune's more interested in telling a slow-paced story with every action creating an equal and opposite reaction that, is the pacing's really important there, whereas in Fast and the Furious things are just happening, for almost no reason. Dune Part 2 was my most anticipated movie for 2024, and with that being said, how was it? Dune Part 2 is excellent. The pacing was perfect, allowing you to truly embrace the atmosphere that Arrakis presents and the world that we're living in within the Dune universe. Paul Atreides has become one of the primetime movie protagonists, with some people even comparing him to Anakin. Now, for the movie side of things, I think the Anakin comparison kind of works, but overall, considering he's Darth Vader in the Clone Wars stuff, it's not close. That's just my personal opinion, but as far as the movies goes, just comparing the prequels Anakin to Paul Atreides from Dune, I think it's a pretty fair comparison, I will say. The acting chops on Austin Butler are insane. So many people have no idea that he's even in this movie, and a lot of people can't even recognize this guy from playing Elvis. Once again, the audience is treated to an absolute loaded cast, and all of these actors are at their best. But how do you get a star-studded cast with this many people in it, with this grand of a story to be told so well? Well, the answer is one of Hollywood's best directors in Denis Villeneuve. This guy has so much passion for the Dune franchise. You can see it in every single shot. Every single shot looks like art. It's just the slow pacing, the build up, the tension, all of it's there. This feels more like you're watching something like Lord of the Rings with the passionate source material there, rather than watching something like, and granted, the MCU is my favorite movie franchise of all time, but it has its flaws. Something like the MCU where it's very formulaic and each movie kind of has the same feel, which is same with Dune and Dune Part 2, but there's a very beautiful aesthetic there, where the Marvel movies, you can clearly see that they're on green screen for most of them. Every shot within this movie is shot with an aspect ratio of 1.43 to 1 or 1.9 to 1, which is also what Blade Runner 2049 was shot on, which was also made by Denis Villeneuve. So I could be biased because that's my favorite movie ever. We also get to have an amazing score from Hans Zimmer once again, which is no surprise really at the end of the day. And basically, this film is grandiose and a lot of ideas are going on here. But my only flaw with this is some of the characters just do things so obviously for the grandiose story rather than actually having character motivations. And so for that reason, there's not really a character-driven story here. It's more just going with the spice trade, the Harkonnens, the Atreides, all of that. So there's grandiose stories, which is awesome, but that's really my only flaw, is that some of the characters feel a little lackluster and there's not much to them. Whereas when you look at something like the MCU, it's really character driven because they're arcing over multiple stories, where sometimes the individual movie, the story is not really the bigger part of it, whereas in Dune, the story is the biggest part of it. Overall, Dune Part 2 is one of the best movie sequels we've gotten in a long time, and it's an objective 9 out of 10. Consider subscribing, and may God bless your day.